What up, Hyperchange? We're trying again. Welcome to another episode. Today we're doing a live stream to talk about Tesla's capital raise, figure out what is going on here under the hood. It caught me by surprise a little bit. Want to go through what I think about this, why I think this is a genius capital allocation move, the sort of unconventional method in which Tesla raised capital, what it means for you as an investor, all of that stuff. You can hear me, give me a thumbs up. I'm so pumped we got the live stream working. Welcome. I hope y'all are having a happy Tuesday morning. Tuesday afternoon. So Tesla announced last week a very interesting filing. They put out an 8K filing with the SEC. They didn't even put out a press release, but they put out this filing and basically said that they were planning to sell $5 billion worth of stock at the market price. And this is very different than the traditional way that these Tesla investors or Tesla raises capital in the past, where they do this offering, it happens at a price, they have bankers run the deal. Now they're basically saying we're allowed to sell $5 billion worth of stock at any price we want with this filing. Gives them a lot more flexibility, but it was sort of an unconventional method that I didn't understand and I mean, still don't understand, but I didn't see coming, and I didn't predict this. I mean, Tesla has $8.6 billion in cash. Thanks for the super chat for better Wi-Fi. And, they've been pumping out positive cash flow for the last 4 quarters. They've been profitable for 4 quarters in a row, a record $8.6 billion in cash. You might be wondering, why is Tesla raising money? Why does this make sense if they're in such a good financial position? I think the biggest reason is, and why I said this is a genius move in the title, is because the timing, the price, the terms of this deal are absolutely savage. First of all, Tesla files to sell $5 billion at their own discretion, whenever they want, whatever price they want. After this filing, they can just do it. The second thing is Tesla's value as a company has 10x'd in the past year. So if Tesla just raised $5 billion at a $40 billion valuation over a year ago, is over 10% dilution. The pie gets 10% bigger. We all get diluted. But now, because Tesla's stock has gone 10x, the dilution is about 1.5% to raise $5 billion. I mean, Tesla is so efficient with R&D spending. This is incredible. They already did it. I know. So I'm getting to the point of what happened today. And today it was announced that Tesla put out a new filing just a week after saying we can sell $5 billion if we want to. A week later said we did sell $5 billion. And I'm going to read the terms because I want to get this exactly perfect. They say on September 4th, Tesla completed the sale of $5 billion of its common stock through its at-the-market offering previously disclosed on September 1st. The final settlement of the shares sold is expected to be completed by September 9th. So by September 4th, they had sold all these shares. So Tesla stock, after the stock split, has stratospheric valuation to $500 billion. And then I'm sorry about the robot voice, but and now they're able, and literally within 3 days of announcing this filing, they actually sold that stock successfully. So now, according to my interpretation of this, Tesla successfully raised that $5 billion. It's going to be in the bank. Their cash balance, assuming everything is, net, would go from $8.6 billion to $13.6 billion. So you can be like, okay, now let's talk about why Tesla did this. I think it was a genius move because it's all about getting a cushion. And, as much as Tesla's never spent this sort of money that they have, Tesla's never built 4 factories in 4 places at once. They're getting ready to do that. So I think Tesla capital needs as a company as they grow are getting much, they just need a lot more money to grow to be able to expand 4 factories at once. And then if you think about what Tesla's doing at the factory level of going more down, Tesla is filchy, of vertical integration and actually building batteries at their own factories, the capital needed for that is just massive and ridiculous. And I think Tesla in general is one of those businesses where the capital needs are so high, and you're running all these production lines around the world. Let's say, God forbid, demand drops for some reason for a short period of time. You have a massive, inertia of fixed cost cover in any sort of these lull moments or product launches or anything that is unexpected happens. And so I think Tesla, as they get bigger, they need sort of a bigger cash cushion to, prepare for this unexpected worst case scenario. And so I think that is the biggest reason Tesla did this, is they wanted $5 billion to have an, additional cushion for their balance sheet to strengthen what they're doing. I don't know. To me, this makes Tesla look way stronger, extremely fortified. I thought, a year ago, they were sort of on the precipice of, we have a couple billion in the bank, we're barely making money. It looked very sketchy, to say the least. Now they're on rock solid position, 8.6 billion bank, pumping out cash flow at another 5 billion. I mean, in the past year, Tesla has totally pendulum swung from a very risky asset with a very high probability of bankruptcy or that sort of thing to actually just an extremely rock solid balance sheet. No chance of that, Tesla could not sell cars for 2 years in a row, literally not sell cars for 2 years in a row and still be able to have enough cash in their bank to fund everything. And so I'm really sad the lag is happening. But so I think the biggest thing that Tesla's planning on spending here is for battery production in-house. And so this is something I've been thinking a lot of, is that battery facility that they have on Cato Road, where they're trying to test this new battery cell that Tesla's building to potentially put in some new vehicles. Well, if we're going to expand this new battery cell production line for the Cybertruck, for the semi-truck, for a massive amount of new vehicle production lines, I think there's a huge sort of next wave of CapEx, not just CapEx to build those vehicle production lines, but CapEx to build those battery production lines. And so I think that is a huge, huge announcement. I'm expecting, a couple $1 billion are going to be needed just to scale up that battery facility in Austin, if it's as good of a time as I think it is. And so, or if it's going to be as much capital as I think it is. And so another thing, Zoltan bringing up something very interesting is, slow down just a tad, is take a breather here. But yeah, mining. So this is something a lot of people have talked about, and Elon Musk and JB Straub on the last conference call were talking a lot about mining and the potential for Tesla to get into this, and specifically nickel, and how they really want to lock up a better supply of nickel. And I did a whole podcast with Vivas, who is a member of Tesla's battery supply materials team, and they were saying that Tesla's really forward thinking in terms of locking up all these raw material and battery supply agreements, and I think that can take a lot of capital up front. Mining capex, Keith, thanks for super chat, is extremely high. So even if Tesla wasn't getting into mining, but let's say they wanted to secure decades supply worth nickel, that could cost billions of dollars. And so I think there's a lot of different things as Tesla goes vertically integrated into battery production and is expanding production as well, that is just going to require like a sort of step up in level of capex. And I think that's part of this raise. I also think, I guess Tesla doesn't really do big acquisitions ever, but maybe that's something that if there was a $5 to $10 billion acquisition they wanted to make, then I guess it would make sense to do this raise as well. But I think it's less about, what they want to spend it on, and like Tesla has something to spend it on, and more about genius market timing to dilute your company just 1.5%, but to get $5 billion, which is almost enough cash to go through a year of operating for Tesla with no revenue. Like, assuming the entire business died, $5 billion could probably keep the lights on for Tesla for a year. And so to get that reassurance, to get that line of insurance for just 1.5% dilution is extremely a really genius and prudent move. And I hadn't thought about it, but at some point, and what is Tesla's management team signaling here is that Elon Musk saying like the stock price is too high. Like, Tesla in some ways is signaling that. They are signaling they would rather have $5 billion in cash in US dollars than they would in stock at these prices. And so I think this is a really interesting move. I think it's a genius move. And as much as, Tesla seems like they're crushing it now, things are amazing. Like, you have to remember how fast things can change. Just a year ago, Tesla was on the cusp of bankruptcy. Everyone hated them. The whole world was against Tesla. And, now everyone's for them. It's happy times. They always say you should raise money when you don't need it. This is a perfect example of that. Raising money when you don't need it, but having cash in the bank, doing it on your terms. If you're thinking a decade out about Tesla, yeah, it sucks that they diluted their stock a little bit, but this peace of mind that this is going to give me, before I thought so good, way down from 50% or whatever before they were profitable, now it's down to like 1 or 2%. And so I think that is a worthwhile sort of de-risking of this entire situation. But yeah. And I do think a lot of people are talking about how the stock is crashing. I'm seeing non-S&P inclusion. I think that everyone's getting way too hyped up about that. The S&P inclusion just doesn't, it doesn't change what's happening at Tesla. It doesn't change their technology. It doesn't change their battery days. It means that some people will be forced to buy the stock if they don't want to because of this inclusion in index. Not that big of a deal, but now Tesla wasn't included, or it looks like they might not be included just yet. And so now everyone's disappointed, and now it's all the stock falls. I think this is getting wrapped up in a bunch of short-term trading hype that's not the company. So I really don't focus on this S&P thing. I don't worry about it. I'm a long-term investor. This does not change the business. So I'm not too worried about the S&P 500 inclusion. My personal thoughts is, Tesla's a crazy company. I think they will include it in the S&P. It just might take a little bit longer than people thought. Ooh, to buy Redwood Materials. I love that idea. So, that's in the works. That would explain this need for more capital. Redwood Materials would be an amazing one. I mean, we know JB. And so actually, since I made my last Redwood, JB and Tesla are going to partner. Like, how are we not seeing JB and Tesla partner on battery recycling with JB's company? Like, this has to be announced. And if it's not, there's drama. And so now, just as Battery Day is about to happen, we see a very interesting Redwood Materials article come out in the Wall Street Journal, not really talking, and I guess they do actually confirm a partnership with Tesla, but it's interesting to see, or like some small partnership with Tesla, but it's interesting to see that Redwood Materials is starting to get hyped and press on its own. So I'd love to see Tesla buy them. I already don't understand why they're not together in the first place, but do I think Battery Day will shock the world? I'm gonna make a whole video doing my battery preview, so stay tuned for that. I'm also I don't want to jinx it, but I'm scheduled to get my Model Y today in like 2 or 3 hours. So I'm planning to do a live stream video today, walking you through my Model Y, talking about everything. So just sneak preview on that. QuantumScape, I wrote about them in the Patreon newsletter. I think QuantumScape is a lot, new battery IPO through a SPAC deal, 3.3 billion. Or it's honestly like 10 billion now valuation. QuantumScape, I think I think they do have more tech than a lot of these, hyped up brand plays like Nikola. But QuantumScape, it's like you're buying a company that's worth $10 billion that's selling a commoditized battery at the end of the day that isn't, they even QuantumScape doesn't plan on producing batteries till 2024 to generate revenue, and they're going to generate 14 million in revenue in 2024. That's their own financial projections, and they're trading at 10 billion today. Like, this is just ridiculous. So I don't know. I think a lot of these, QuantumScape, Nikola, I would recommend reading the financials of these companies and actually seeing what the hell it is you're buying, because I can't remember in my career ever seeing such a lack of due diligence and research that the financial media and investors have been doing on these companies. I mean, to get away with a $10 billion valuation with no revenue for the next 4 years, like, of course everybody is doing all these IPOs. I mean, yes, I do have a driver's license. Thanks for the super chat. Yeah, so does anyone have any questions about the capital raise or anything like that? I do think, for everyone freaking about the stock, I think it's the S&P 500 letting down. And, in many ways, this is going down brilliantly. Like, Tesla sold their stock last week when it was literally the highest ever, up more than 10x in a year. Tesla stock was, and now it's crashed, it's down 30%. So it's already looking like a brilliant move for Tesla to cash out on sort of this irrational market hysteria and take a tiny bit of chips off the table. So yeah, it's not that I don't believe in QuantumScape, but I'm just very skeptical about that technology and just the value. Like, if QuantumScape was at like a 50 million valuation, I'd be like, oh, this is interesting, let's look at it. But I think that's a lot more fair thing than 10 billion. So is there anything else? Oh, the best place to put 5 billion towards. Thanks you, Malte, for that question. So I think the best place to put 5 billion towards is, I think Tesla should go into massive overdrive investment mode. They kind of are, with Shanghai expansion, with Berlin, with Austin, maybe India. I don't know. I think Tesla, like, what about setting up a power plant? I think this could be fascinating, of this idea of not Tesla just selling batteries to power companies, but actually building their own power plant from scratch. And all of a sudden, your cost of capital is so cheap, and you could get 5 billion for 1.5% dilution. Maybe this starts to make sense. So there's a lot of crazy things I think Tesla could do. I mean, Elon Musk is just and I'm so pumped you asked this question because this got me going. Elon Musk is just one of the smartest, most savage guys on the planet. Look at what Tesla's done with a bootstrapping, 10 or 20 billion of capital so far, another 5 billion in their pocket. I mean, Tesla, this greenlights 10 crazy R&D projects. This lets them hire all the engineers they want. I mean, Elon Musk the amount of ideas this guy has is insane. And so I think Tesla, to just give them more fuel, more ammo to fund crazy, wild innovation, building more battery factories and that kind of stuff, is going to be super exciting. Like, I almost think the biggest, like, instead of acquiring some fancy technology, for us to put 5 billion, just funnel that into Tesla's R&D department. Like, even as it is, Tesla only spends 3 or 400 million per quarter on R&D. That's 1 or 2 billion a year, which is fascinating because it's like, okay, well, 5 billion, they can't even spend that much on R&D. There's not even enough smart engineers in the world that they could hire to even expand. But so it can't even all be for R&D. But I do think that's what I really would love Tesla to spend on, is just, push a gazillion times faster on all these 2030, 2040 projects. Let's build that. Let's get the electric airplane division off the ground. Let's get that cargo ship going. Let's, I don't know. There's just a million ways this can go. Will Tesla ever produce a van? Yeah, let's get a van, some sort of more ride-sharing vehicle together. I think that could definitely happen. I think there's a lot going on with the Boring Company. Actually, Tesla buying the Boring Company makes a lot more sense to me than, something else. But I think the Boring Company, yeah, than Redwood, let's say, but like Tesla buying the Boring Company, these loop pods, what you're saying about your van question, I think Tesla has a clear hole in their product lineup of like a really good ride sharing vehicle, like a van product. Amazon ordering 100,000 of those from Rivian, adding more ordering more vans from Mercedes Benz. So this is clearly a form factor that is extremely popular. Why hasn't Tesla done it? Because I think Elon Musk is sort of scheming on the Boring Company to be shooting tunnels or to have tunnels underground, shooting these sort of van-like vehicles that will be built by Tesla, I guess. And so if that's the future of every city, isn't there a huge crossover and synergy for the Boring Company to get acquired by Tesla, for Tesla to really expand into really like deep infrastructure and technology? And this is all built for electric cars. The gas car is not going to be able to go into the tunnel, makes it way more complicated. So and of course, Elon Musk being the Boring Company too, they're both tackling transportation. I think the Boring Company could be acquired by Tesla. I'd love to see that moonshot happen. And so maybe that's the $5 billion. I don't know. The GM and Nikola partnership. Oh man, I have not looked into this enough to know, but I still think Nikola is totally vaporware and a ridiculous story. And I think GM and Nikola are two loser companies, like not going to build the future, not going to build an exciting EV, frankly. So I'm not paying too much attention to it. I think it's just all PR fluff. But I'm going to look into it more, but I haven't. So that's my only comment for now. So thank you. I'm so pumped for my Model Y. That's going to be an epic live stream later. I've been taking notes of my delivery process, doing all that, got all the gear. I'm so pumped. I've turned into a Tesla fanboy myself. Like I've already realized that buying a Tesla and becoming a customer is so like the amount of value and research and understanding I get from Tesla about that is insane. Like the amount I've turned into a Tesla fanboy. I'm watching all the videos of all the other Tesla tubers about what accessories to buy, how do I do this, what to get ready for a delivery. Like, man, the mindset you get in as a Tesla owner, I'm like, man, this is a cult. You get really obsessed. Like, this is the new Apple. I'm so pumped. So I'm gonna do that stream later. Bill Gates. Okay, everyone's got Bill Gates in the stream here. Bill Gates said the Tesla Semi will never work. It's like those who say it can't be done should not interrupt those doing it. Right? Like Bill Gates, like he drives the Taycan. Like the dude is not an expert in electric vehicles. He literally picked like the shittiest piece of technology with the least efficient electric vehicle motor and drivetrain on the planet to purchase as his electric vehicle. So I don't think he knows shit about electric vehicles, frankly. Sorry, I got to work on my being a little more PC, but I'm a little frustrated because Bill Gates is all about, oh, let's do good for the world, let's try and save the world, let's put the planet, I'm doing my charity, and then he has such his egos in the way where if some other tech guy is saving the world, he doesn't want it to be saved because it's not him saving the world. That's the vibe I get from Bill Gates, and I'm like, dude, like Elon Musk is doing so much good for the planet. How do you shit talk him at every turn? Like, and instead you're buying the Porsche car. Dieselgate, the same Porsche company that literally lied to people and was pumping out NOx emissions, and that's the company you're supporting with your capital, Bill Gates. Like, this is a joke, dude. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I kind of get really frustrated about that because we desperately need electric semi-trucks. The Tesla semi-truck is going to change the world. It's going to change transportation. It's going to be exactly what we need to get packages around with way lower emissions. It's a critical piece of the future economy. It's going to make billions of dollars of shareholder value for investors like myself and fucking change the world for the better. And Bill Gates is hating on it. So he's wrong on morally, ethically, and business strategically wise on this initiative. And so I'm bucketing him in with Trevor Milton on this hydrogen Tesla semi-hatership. So anyway, that's my joke and rant on that. Bill Gates, Seattle guy though, so I'm a Seattle guy too. But any more questions on the Tesla capital raise or anything like this? I mean, I think this is an awesome move. Not that big of a deal, to be honest. Doesn't change anything. Gives them a cushion. Lets them spend a little more liberally. I do think, will the Model 3 get a 1,000,000-mile battery? Of course. Well, I don't know if the Model 3 will right off the bat, but there will be a 1,000,000-mile battery at Battery Day, of course. One thing that I actually think to take a devil's advocate of why this could be a negative is one thing that I really like Elon is saying, like, you don't get too fat and happy. You don't want too much cash. You don't want to be spending too much. I think this was Tesla's problem earlier before they got their shit together and got profitable was when they just, had too much money to spend. Like this, like QuantumScape is dead in the water because they're going to raise $1 billion at some $10 billion valuation they possibly buy with all the fanciest equipment, getting the fanciest salary you could possibly get. Your hustle's gone. What are you gonna, where's the hunger? Where's the drive? Where's the startup culture? It's just too cushy and soft and no regard for how to actually make money and turn this business into a profitable enterprise. That is just so far down the road of any company planning to IPO. And I think that's a symptom of raising way too much capital, getting way too fat. And I think that's a real thing. Anwar Beck, what up? And so I'm worried that Tesla could fall into that. I actually don't, or I don't think Tesla will fall into that, but that's just something to keep in mind. Like, I think a lot of these companies and startups in general can get a little bit too lazy and fat. I think Tesla's culture is not that at all, but that's just something to keep in mind. All right, well, thank you so much for tuning into this live stream. For those of all who are getting so bummed on the stock going up and down, I mean, Tesla's a wildly volatile company. If your stock goes up 10x, nothing goes up in a straight line. It's gonna come down. It's gonna pull back. It's gonna be like a savage, wild roller coaster. It's gonna be crazy volatility. Nothing goes up every single day, 20% a day. I think we all got a little too used to that, but you got to remember that doesn't happen. There was 2 years or 3 years where I'm pounding the table saying Tesla's gonna change the world, make billions, and nobody believed me, and everyone thought I was crazy, and the stock never goes up. And then all of a sudden, within 3 and 6 months, they soar to, the stock goes up 10x, and everybody decides that all these things we've been saying for 5 years are legitimate. And so I don't know, it's very hard to predict the timing of the market. Very, if you're going to get hyped when the stock goes up, you got to get hyped when the stock goes down. And that's why I never get too emotionally into, up or down. Tesla's going to be volatile. You got to think long term. In the short term, the stock market's a voting machine. In the long term, it's a weighing machine. I only focus on the weight of my asset. What is the real weight? Knowing the eventual equity price of will reflect that intrinsic value of the stock. And that's how I'm going to get my value. So that's why I don't care about the S&P 500. Does it change the weight? The weight of Tesla is not impacted by whether it's in the S&P 500. The weight of the Tesla and the value that company has is impacted by what technology they have, how many factories they have, how many cars they're pumping out, how profitable that is. That's all that matters. That's all I'm doing my homework on. So stay tuned. Mile-wide live stream could be today. I don't want to jinx it. And I have a really epic battery preview that, of course, I'm going to make. So stay tuned. I am going to Battery Investor Day. So yeah, I'm going to be bringing some savage content for you all from that as well. Anyway, stay tuned. Thank you so much for tuning in this live stream. I'll put the link to these filings right after this post below if you want to nerd out and read them yourself. This is Hyperchange. Have an awesome day. Peace out.